Welcome to the U.S. Kiss Vinyl Reference YouTube channel. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Alright, welcome to another episode of the U.S. Kiss Vinyl Reference. I'm your host, Mike Stone. Not the one and only, but the only one that does this kind of nerdy shit, so, I guess I'm kind of the one and only. Anyway, so you've been following along a little bit. You kind of realize that we're doing shit in chronological order, so today you might have figured out that we are talking about music from The Elder. So, divisive little bastard this is. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Not too many variants in the U.S. There are a couple of variants that are next to impossible to find. I have one that's really hard to find, but I don't have any of the impossible ones. Little bitty stack of 45s this week. Nothing much. So this probably won't be a big episode. So get your stuff gathered up and get comfortable, and I will see you in a minute. Alright, so we're talking about music from The Elder today. So, pretty divisive album. Some people hate it. Some people love it. So, it's released in November of 1981, which makes it about 9 months younger than me. And some people were done with Kiss around this one. They didn't tour at all for The Elder, so yeah, that shows something. But and The Elder, Killers, and Creatures of the Night are kind of they're intertwined. Without one, the others wouldn't exist, and so on. But that's a whole different story here. So, not a whole lot of variation for the U.S. LPs or 45s. Now there's a couple copies of The Elder that are next to impossible to find, but other than that, there's just not a whole lot out there for the U.S. Worldwide, there are some great copies of The Elder, and who knows, I might reach out to a friend of mine that I kind of refer to him as the Elder guy, so I might reach out to him at some point, and we might do a little get together and show some of that stuff from around the world that I wouldn't have normally. So The Elder, it was one of the last albums that I got when I was putting together all the Kiss music when I first got into them back in '96. By the time I was getting to the later albums of the makeup period, they started rolling out the remasters. So I waited on some of them to get released, and The Elder was one of them. So the first copy of The Elder I ever owned was the '97 remaster CD. And as we know, they changed the track listing from the original version of The Elder on the '97 remaster, so it starts with Fanfare and plays that way. So that track listing is the most comfortable to me. I never owned the original CD, but It has the same track listing as all these original vinyl copies do. And I've listened to the vinyl copies a few times. That track listing just seems weird to me, and I can't get into it the same way I do when I put on the 97 CD. So when they reissued it in 2014, I was kind of happy that they updated the track listing to the one that's comfortable to me. I think that's all the preface BS for the Elder that I have. I do all this stuff off the top of my head. I don't have a script or nothing like that. So I guess now we just get into it. I don't see this being very long of an episode because, as I said, there's not a whole lot of variation. And as with every other episode, we start off with promotional copies. And the Elder, from a collector's standpoint, the Elder does not have a promotional copy. Now, were there copies sent out to music marketing moguls, record stores, radio stations, and all that for free? Absolutely. So that is the bare bones definition of a promo copy, is a free copy, basically. There were definitely copies sent out for free. None of those copies have marks on the jacket, or well, they got marks on the jacket, but so I guess instead of me rambling without something in my hands, this is the only mark you'll find on a promo copy of the Elder. Cut corner. There has been no U.S. copy of the Elder that has had a promotional label. So copies that were handed out for free to, band members, radio stations, record stores, reviewers, anybody that promotional copies would normally be handed out to, they got a record that looked like this. Also, records that stayed around in the record store forever and ever and ever and didn't sell and ended up in the discount bin also looked like this. So there's really no way to tell the difference between a promotional copy and a discount bin copy. With that said, some people have had copies of the Elder. I know of one person in particular that got his from Backstage Auctions. See if I can say that right. Backstage Auctions. And his copy was a cut corner copy, just like this. And it came with a press kit. And this copy came from a lady who was in radio. So that could be pretty much the closest thing to a promotional copy as you can find for the Elder. So this is the first copy that I bought when I got back into collecting Kiss vinyl. This came with a promotional copy. Or this came with a press kit, I'm sorry. And here's the picture of the press kit supplied by a friend of mine, because back in 2014, I didn't know any better about what I had. I sold the press kit off because I didn't think anything about it. So I am currently waiting to get a hold of another press kit to put with this. So Was mine a promo copy? Maybe, maybe not. Somebody could have just had a press kit that they married together with this and sold it on eBay. I guess that's possible too, but, you know, it is what it is. So that's that's really all I can say about a promotional copy of The Elder. So, but yeah, it comes with a clear plastic inner sleeve, which this doesn't look clear, it looks white because I have a stiffener in there to keep the sleeve square. So and it came with just your standard Elder label, which I have another copy of this variation that I'll show here in a bit. So, but yeah, that is a promo copy of the Elder in a nutshell. Basically, it exists, but it doesn't. And it's the only one in the catalog like that. So there are other titles later on in the non-makeup period that they don't have promo labels, but they have a gold stamp on the jacket. I accept those promos a little easier than just something with a cut corner as a promo. No promo label. Because I could take, I mean, if the cut corner was all that the Elder needed to be a promo copy, I could take any copy of the Elder and cut the corner and say I got a promo. You know. So from a collector's point, that's a cut corner jacket. Is what it is. So now we're getting into the different variations of the Elder. So the first thing I'm going to point out here is on the back of the jacket. This has no printing plant numbers anywhere on the jacket. The track list is Fanfare, Just a Boy, Odyssey, Only You, Under the Rose, Dark Light, World Without Heroes, The Oath, Mr. Blackwell, and I. Notice I didn't say Escape from the Island because it's not listed back here. This came with, to me, with a clear plastic inner sleeve. And before I go much further, I'm going to recommend again that you don't get hung up with printing plant numbers on the back of the jacket and pressing plant numbers on the labels, because I've seen them in pretty much all configurations now. This one also came to me with a pretty rare two-sided lyric sheet. Now this is a sheet, this is not an inner sleeve. For some reason or another, not all of the copies that came with that clear plastic inner sleeve came also with the lyric sheet. I don't know why, but this thing is absolutely rare as hell. And I managed to get mine from a friend. I've been eternally thankful for that. And this is one of the rare things about the Elder that you can come across from the U.S. Alright, as for the label, I'm going to hold that up there. Notice it's a hand, you know, it's a custom label. And I want you to notice that there is not a pressing plant anywhere to be found on that label. This is also the first new KISS release that has a polygram address at the bottom of the label. So to my knowledge, you won't find a copy of the Elder with the old Casablanca Sunset Boulevard address. So this is, we're in the polygram era of the band now. Oh, and I had made a notice about the track listing on the back, starting with Fanfare. On the labels here, the track listing starts with the Oath and is out of order compared to the jacket. So, and it does have Escape from the Island, even though it's not listed back here. So that is the first copy of the Elder. All right. Our next copy also has Escape from the Island, Escape from the Island. Also has a jacket that starts off with Fanfare and works its way down. And in the lower left-hand corner, it has a black 501 printed, which I'll have to fly an image up here because that wood grain kind of distorts the image. Also with the clear lyric or inner sleeve. And as I said before, don't get hung up on the combination of the plant number on the jacket and then the pressing plant number on the label. And don't get hung up on which inner sleeve is supposed to come with which jacket. Like I said, I've seen it all in just about any combination now. I used to believe that they came a certain way, and then I've just seen too many copies that, you know, would have been considered Frankenstein by my logic. So I've accepted that they just willy-nilly'd it and it could come with whatever. Alright, this one also has that custom label, and I want you to train your eyes over to the far left. You'll see right before the word manufactured, you'll see a little 53 on it. And I also want to point out to you that the track listing starts with the Oath. So there's a couple of variations there I'm winking at you about. So I pointed out that this one starts off with the Oath, and I am going to point out a next to impossible one to find. I'm going to point out two of them actually. So I'm going to throw one up here. You'll notice it says it's got a 53 on the left hand side, and if you look at that label, it starts with Fanfare. And from what I've been told by the owner of this, it plays in that order. The label on the second side does not list Escape from the Island, so it's just like the jacket, and he said Escape from the Island is not on the album. So it mirrors the Japanese first issue, but it is completely a US issue. And then I'm going to throw up another image here of a second variation that is exactly the same, except you'll see it's got a 26 on the right hand side of the label. And again, starts off with Fanfare, does not have Escape from the Island on the back. So these two are next to impossible to find. I have only seen and heard of one copy of each, and neither one of the fellas that have them will let go of them. So I've tried. So as far as rarity, I'm going to go on the record and say that those are probably the two rarest U.S. issues on LP. I will put them right up there next to the Blue Label Let Me Go Rock and Roll Hotter Than Hell 45. And my mind will not change about that. So now, moving on to the next variation. I'm going to point out to you that this track listing on the back of the jacket now starts with the Oath, and Escape from the Island is listed. This is how the track listing on most of the labels in the U.S. show up. I'm also going to point out to you down by the polygram logo that there is a red 0704. So there's your printing plant number. Mine came to me with a lyric inner sleeve. This is not the same as that lyric sheet that I showed you before. So a good way, if you're looking at eBay pictures, the lyric inner sleeve, that logo will be in yellow. The lyric sheet, that logo will be in black. And then there are lines dividing up these columns. The lyric sheet will have black lines. The lyric sleeve will have yellow lines. So, lyric sheet is not exactly easy to find, but it is possible. That lyric sheet is almost mythical to find, really. Alright. And when we talk about the labels, so there's that hand label again. And I want you to look over on the left-hand side. Underneath stereo and side A, you will see a number 72. So there's your pressing plant number. I have not seen nor heard of a record getting out with a plant 72 and the track list starting with the fanfare. I have seen a sheet of blanks that were like that, but I've never heard of an actual record making it out like that. Now, moving on to a record club. And as far as record clubs go, this is among one of the hardest to find. This is a CRC copy of The Elder. The track listing starts with the Oath and has Escape from the Island. And if you look down by the polygram logo, you will see a little black CRC. A little tough to spot in an eBay picture. Mine came to me with a lyric inner sleeve, and the few people that I know that also have a copy, theirs came with a lyric inner sleeve as well. Alright, the label is a Plant 53 label that I showed earlier. And so here's my theory on record clubs, especially CRC. I have said in previous episodes that, you know, CRC is Columbia Record Club. Columbia has a lot of record pressing plants that everybody used. Most notably, they had one in Santa Maria, California, Terre Haute, Indiana, and Pittman, New Jersey. So Santa Maria in the plant number era would be 25. Terre Haute, Indiana would be 73, and Pittman, New Jersey would be 56. This label has a 53 on it. And 53, it used to be Kiel, and then it got renamed to Hoppage, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a city in New York. That's where it was located at. And this didn't make sense to me for a long time because this was not a Columbia pressing plant. Hoppage wasn't. And I had that theory about only Columbia pressing plants pressing Columbia Record Club copies, and then this came along and it blew a hole in my theory, or so I thought. So when I got mine in, if you look at it, you can see on side 1 or side A, whatever, most of your Elder copies, the run out info is hand scrawled. It looks like handwriting. This CRC copy is stamped. So it has the catalog number NBLP 7261A stamped into the dead wax. And then you can very lightly see that it says Columbia NY, which NY meaning New York. So that's side A. Side 2 does not have all of that information that I disclosed, and I'm not going to say what information it does or does not disclose. But yes, the runouts on these Columbia CRC copies are stamped. So with that Columbia in the dead wax, that kind of brought my theory back around a little bit. So I know this is nerdy shit that probably doesn't matter, but hey, I like it. So yes, this is one of the hardest CRC copies to find on any format. The vinyl is hard to find. There's a CRC cassette that is extremely hard to find. 3 different variations, come to find out. There are CRC 8 tracks for the Elder that are next to impossible to find. I honestly don't know if there are CDs of the Elder that are CRC, but I would imagine that they're probably hard to find also. So that kind of goes to show how the Elder sold compared to something like Alive or Rock and Roll Over, where you can find CRCs everywhere you turn around. So if you can get a hold of a CRC Elder, that's a pretty good one to have. I looked for one of these forever on eBay, and then like auction and raffle groups. I actually had a chance at one for a minute that a friend of mine beat me out at. I just happened to get on Etsy one day. I'd never been on Etsy before, and I wasn't even looking for one. I was just seeing if there was Kiss records on there, and the very first listing was this right here. Looking for this thing for years, and there it was. And the seller on Etsy was glad to finally sell it. They told me that they had it listed for well over a year, and they just couldn't sell it. So I was glad to buy it. So all right, so done with the record clubs. And right about now is where I'd be telling you about the Filmworks 2. It's got the plant number on the jacket or a UPC sticker. And then it's got a Filmworks label with a polygram address and all that. Doesn't exist for the Elder. Hasn't been shown. Some copies of the Elder have been shown that have a UPC sticker on the shrink wrap. doesn't have a Filmworks label, so it's got that custom hand label, so that's not part of the Filmworks 2 series. And then after that, I'd be showing you the jacket that has the barcode printed on it, and then another Filmworks label with a polygram address and all that. Elder doesn't have one of those either. Never been shown for the US. So that means that that thing never got reissued until 2014. So this was part of the Kisteria campaign, the box set that reissued the back catalog. Some titles were exclusive to the box set, others weren't. This was not exclusive to the box set. So they recreated the jacket front and back, and now we've got a barcode. And they recreated the gatefold, which I just now realize I never showed at all. These come with a lyric inner sleeve. And the vinyl. Many Kisteria issues have a hype sticker that looks like this. Well, they all do, except for the exclusives. A lot of them are just a generic hype sticker that can work for several titles. This one is actually specific to the Elder. It says first vinyl edition with concept album sequence. And then it says first U.S. vinyl pressing since 1985. Well, there never was an 85 version of the Elder. But it got reissued on that custom label. And the track list now starts with Fanfare and is the familiar track listing for me. And if I listen to a vinyl copy of the Elder, it's most likely going to be this one or one of the other reissues that I've still got sitting over here. I have listened to the original issues, but like I said, that other track listing is just weird to me, and I just can't get into it. I mean, you listen to something for so long, that's just how it is. You know, not Kiss related, my favorite album of all time is Ozzy's Diary of a Madman. If they moved like, you know, Little Dolls or SATO to the very start of the album instead of Over the Mountain, I'd probably hate it. But you know, that's just, I'm used to how it is. I'm an old man. I don't like change. Get the fuck off my lawn. So, alright. Next U.S. reissue came in, this 2021. This was a Kiss Online exclusive. And you had a standard edition and a deluxe limited edition. So again, we've got, they did change the date on the jacket from the back. You know, it's not a, they didn't just completely reuse the 2014. So it's got a different catalog number from the 2014 on the spine, a different barcode, and then the date's different down here. Let's look at the inner sleeve. They used a different date and catalog for the inner sleeve, so this is not interchangeable with the 2014. And then, as a little bonus, here's our standard edition hype sticker. That's usually what I do. I'll take the shrink wrap off, I'll get the hype sticker off, and then I'll put it on a disc keeper. They gave us a nice little lenticular image of the album cover, which I kind of wish they would have kept that going. But they only did it for 2 albums, and that's kind of a bummer, really. I kind of like that. So, as I pointed out, this is a standard edition, meaning it was not, everything's limited to a point, but this one wasn't limited to 500 worldwide. And it is a picture disc, and it was only available through Kiss Online, and it is that entire custom label image. Now, it doesn't look like they marked it side A or side B. There is writing down here at the bottom, but doesn't say nothing about what side it is. But you can either look, it is sided like the labels, so if you look at your label, the back side of the hand is always side A and the inside of the hand is side B. Or you can look at the runouts and it'll show you which side it is that way. So there's your standard edition picture disc reissue of The Elder from 2021. Which I was able to obtain pretty easily. And then you also had a limited edition picture disc from 2021. This it is the same jacket as the standard edition, but there was a UPC sticker on the shrink wrap that covered up the barcode. Again, I don't keep shrink wrap, so I peeled the UPC sticker off and I stuck it on the jacket where it would have been on the shrink wrap covering the barcode. It also comes with a lyric inner sleeve. This is interchangeable with that standard edition. Also, let me pull that out real quick. So there's the limited, super limited edition, whatever you want to call it. There's a hype sticker for it. It also came with that same 3D lenticular thingy. And then for those of you that are kind of familiar with foreign pressings, this came with the overlay from Japan. So they reprinted that one up. And this was, when people just hold a Japanese record up that's got the overlay on the outside, yeah, it looks like this is the cover and the obies around it. This is just the overlay. And the picture disc is an outtake from the the Killer sessions. And then you've got a more familiar looking picture back here. Kind of looks like the old Dutch picture disc, but it's a little different. So this is the super limited edition. There was only 500 of these made. It sold out very, very quickly. I was not able to get in on the pre-order. It sold out before I got the message that it was live. But I have a very good friend who also supplied me with the picture of the press kit that I threw up earlier. He got a second copy for me because he was the one that sent me the message that it went live, and I guess I didn't reply, and he figured out that I hadn't seen his message, so he picked up a second copy for me, and that's the so far that's been the only limited one that I've missed, and thanks to him, I ended up getting a copy later. So we met up at Creatures Fest. He got the copy to me, and all was right in the world. And these jackets are a little bit tight, but I'm also keeping everything in disc keepers, so it's kind of my own fault too. There we go. Yep, that's a pretty nice reissue of the Elder. So that is all the US copies of the Elder. And the name of the show, or the name of my page, is the US Kiss Vinyl Reference. But I did get a non-US reissue that I can't not show it. So this comes from over in Germany. I have a buddy that worked with Universal on this, so you can see it's got a nice mylar finish to it. The image of the hand and the door knocker, and then the logos here are all embossed, and it's mylar finished all throughout. Notice it's got the German Kiss logo on it. And then it has the lyric inner sleeve with the German logo on it. And they were thoughtful enough to put it inside a poly-lined inner sleeve for shipping, so it didn't tear up your regular inner sleeve. Alright. I forgot both ends of that gatefold are open. And then here we've got the hype sticker, and then that's I believe this was on the shipping box. It's just a UPC sticker, but I kept it anyway. So this also comes with a Japanese style overlay. The pictures on the back are a little different. You know, the Japanese version had the lyrics in Japanese on the back. This is just another picture. And then it came with a German translated lyric booklet, which if I remember right, did exist back in the day, and it was really, really hard to find. I think you had to send off for it to get it, and I guess not too many people sent off for one, so from what I understand, it's really, really hard to find. So that Mylar jacket is a nice touch. It almost looks gold in a way. And then, yeah, them using just a regular inner sleeve to ship the record in to keep from tearing your inner sleeve up was a nice touch. And now we're going to show the vinyl. The vinyl is clear as could be. And then it's got that Elder Custom label on it with the German logo. And it has the track listing that I'm most familiar with. So the starts off with fanfare and all that. Very nicely put together package here. I do listen to this one probably as much as I do the 2014. And then if you were among one of the first folks to put in a pre-order, you got a little paper bag with it. So that paper bag was a nice little add-on there. And these came from Germany. And that is the last LP reissue that I have to show. And I forgot to point out that these are numbered. I forget how many they made, but I mean there's at least 6,501 made. So yes, very, very nicely put together package, I thought. All right. So that does it for the LP. Let's talk about the 45. So we had 145 in the U.S. It was A World Without Heroes backed with Dark Light. Other countries got, I forget whether the A-side was I or The Oath. Seems like I might have seen another country with, no, it was either I or The Oath, I think. I can't remember which was the A side and which was the B side, but we just got the 145 in the in the US. Oh, excuse me. A damn bug in my throat. So starting off with the promo copies for A World Without Heroes. Promo 45s now are no longer mono stereo. They're stereo and they're the same song on both sides. Same exact label on both sides. I believe this to be just a cost measure by the record company. They can press the 45 up with the same song on both sides, send it out to radio stations. Radio station can play one side till it wears out, and then they can flip it over and they can still play the other side. So here is the label for A World Without Heroes, the promo copy. If you look off to the left, you'll notice a number 19. And if you look at the top there, underneath where it says Casablanca Record and Film Works, it says promotion copy not for sale. So there's a variation for the World Without Heroes 45. And as I said, it's the same label on both sides, so there's no use flipping it around. Alright. We have another promo copy for A World Without Heroes. So, if you look at the left-hand side, it says promotional copy not for sale. And then if you look at the bottom of that block of text, you'll see a number 26. So there's another variation for the promo copy. Now getting into retail copies. So this one, if you look off to the left, you'll see a number 19. Matches the promo copy that I showed. There's a World Without Heroes side. And there's Dark Light. And then the next variation of the 45. So if you look off to the left-hand side, you'll see a number 26. So there's your World Without Heroes side. And there's Dark Light. Then the next variation . So if you look off to the left-hand side, down towards the bottom of that text, you'll see a number 72. There's your World Without Heroes side. And Dark Light. And then the last copy I have is from the singles box set. And as I have said many times, it was a box set that reissued all of the makeup era singles from 1974 to 1982. U.S. did not get a lot of picture sleeves, so they ended up getting picture sleeves from around the world. And they got this one, I forget which country, but it looks Spanish. The text underneath looks Spanish, so I'm going to guess Spain, Mexico, Portugal, something like that. I am criminally undereducated on these 45 sleeves. I do apologize for my lack of knowledge there, but yeah, they brought that sleeve in, and then they reissued it on the Filmworks label. So there's your World Without Heroes side. And there is Dark Light. And folks, that does it for the U.S. copies of The Elder that I am aware of. As I said before, there are a couple that are next to impossible to find. Will I have either one of those one day? I don't know. Those are almost unicorns at this point, but they're at the top of my list. one time my want list, the top three were all copies of The Elder. It was those two and then the CRC copy. Well, I ended up getting the CRC copy, so now it's just those two at the top of my list and not very many others. So I thank you for hanging in there and seeing what all was out there, whether you like the album or not. But I understand it's a divisive album and not everybody likes it. So I appreciate you hanging in there, and I will catch you next time.